Welcome to the Realty FC podcast, where we educate and give different perspectives on local real estate trends from business owners, professionals, and others as we navigate the ever-changing world of real estate. I'm your host, Chris, joined by my co-host, Michelle, as we dive into the twists and turns of the complex real estate world. How you doing, Michelle?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, well, today we are going to talk about something that everybody loves or maybe hates, or maybe it's a love and hate relationship. Politics.
Oh boy.
Yeah. You ready to talk about that today? Yeah, I think
This should be good.
we literally might break the internet today.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're going to try to keep away from, being one-sided or the other, but we're going to dive into some local facts about, the political stance here in the area. We're going to bring on the mayor of Middletown.
Oh, okay.
And talk about some awesome things that are coming to the area.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and let's get him on the show.
That sounds good.
Okay, welcome to the show. We have Charles Harbaugh IV. He is the mayor of Middletown. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Chris, I'm doing great. Thank you guys so much for having me. Really appreciate it. Great spot here on Warrior Drive.
Yeah, no, it's an honor. So thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule and coming in here. So before we dive in a lot about, politics, I hate to talk about politics, but it's a necessary evil. And what you hear in the media, especially this time of the year. And we got the election coming up, so there's a lot of love and there's a lot of not so much love. But before we get into all that, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you probably could go on forever about yourself, but maybe like where you're from, your family, some of your careers. Go ahead and tell us about that.
Born and raised in Middletown, local boy. As you said, Charles Harbaugh IV. My grandfather was a combat pilot, airline pilot, World War II. Afterwards, stayed in the area, had a farm in Clark County. At the same time, he had one in Mountain Falls, so like two farms. But his father was Charles Harbaugh the Sr., was a medical doctor in Winchester. So my whole folks have been back here since the 1880s, and
wow.
Before that even. But I mean, the Charles Harbaugh name has been in the area since then. But local guy, born and raised in Middletown, love the town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, do you have a son?
Yeah, Charles V.
I was going to say, did you?
Okay.
So there's still yet more to come. Okay, well, that's great. So what prompted you to want to become the mayor of Middletown, which I hear all great things about you. So kudos to you. But I also want to point out, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're the youngest mayor in the history of Virginia.
Yeah, 2012. That
2012,
was a dozen
yeah.
years ago. So I'm headed into my fourth.
We won't age yourself.
I'm headed into my fourth term, unopposed. But I didn't want to be the mayor. I didn't set out to be the mayor. I ran for council because I thought I could make a difference. So I was 22 when I got elected to council, and my colleagues appointed me the vice mayor. And so I kind of fell into it. The mayor quit one night, resigned in March 2012, and they were like, "You're the vice mayor," and so I got like this crack at it for 9 months to try it out and see what I thought, and to work with the department heads, to work with the residents, and it just really worked well. Had a plan, detailed plan with goals, smart goals, like what I wanted to accomplish, what I wanted to do, and so that really boded well going into my 4-year term. So it's not something I set out to be. I ran for council because I thought I could make a difference. Middletown, in my childhood, there was one school bus, right? And there just wasn't a lot of things for families to do, and I thought I could create these with a political position. I could create these family-friendly events, such as the car show and farm-to-table dinner and the Easter egg hunt and the tree lighting, and the reenactment in town, and all these things. I thought I could really build camaraderie from that position, and I was, so not something I sought out.
Oh, no. Well, you're doing a great job. So you're a perfect fit for it. And tell me a little bit. I know Dr. Miles Davis. Does that name ring a bell?
Yeah, he was a dean at Shenandoah University of the school, but he was a professor of mine when I was getting my bachelor's and master's degree. I was in school as I was elected to council. I was finishing my master's as I was becoming mayor. And so this was a big deal locally at the time. This is before social media took off. Everybody read the paper. And so had a lot of professors like him, like, what? Like, and they kind of really helped me through that early process as a 24-year-old person, to be elected and like giving guidance and advice. And, you should talk to this person. You should talk to this person. This is what so-and-so did. And just a great resource. He's a wonderful person. I love to see that he still comes back every now and then. and gives. He's a veteran. A lot of people don't know that about him, but Dean Davis is a wonderful servant leader.
Yeah, Michelle, what were you doing at 24?
At 24.
Yeah. What, did you have ambition
wow.
for being a mayor?
Wow.
I
Not
can't say
to
that.
be a mayor. No, I was trying to be a good mother, military wife.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Fair enough.
Where were we at 24? What
Let's
state?
see, 24, we were in California.
Okay.
Yeah, California. Edwards Air Force Base.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys don't want to know what I was doing at 24, so we'll just skip over that.
That's another podcast.
Yeah, it's a whole other podcast, not for everyone's ears. So what changes have you seen over the years in Middletown? You said you've been the mayor for 12 years,
Yep.
but you've been a resident your entire life. So what kind of changes have you seen?
Drastic changes, and this is something that you're an expert in as in realty. But
Yep.
The mayor before me in 2007 approved 300 homes. The mayor and the council approved 300 homes to come to Middletown.
Okay.
And it drastically changed our identity. Middletown was famous because we had big lots. Our founder was a medical doctor, Dr. Peter Sensini, and he knew to keep the houses off the street because the street at the time, Route 11, was Valley Pike, as it was called then, was filthy. Animal waste, human waste.
Really?
He knew to keep, so that's why if you go through Middletown, every other valley town had to have homes raised and pushed back when Route 11 was expanded, except for Middletown. So if you're bored, drive through Stephen City to Middletown, then Strasburg, and you'll see both of them have houses right on the road.
Yeah, no, I do. Yeah.
So think about that. That's why, is our founder was a medical doctor. So these homes now, these 300 homes from Ryan and Richmond, America, they have small yards. They don't fit the identity. They're the same color. They're stacked on top of each other. Like, I understand growth, but it should be controlled growth.
Sure.
And say, hey, instead of 300 homes, maybe it's 150 and they all have the yards that are traditional for the town of Middletown. So we've had rapid development, but we've had a lot of preservation wins. And this is what I want a chance to talk about on your podcast is people don't know there's 2,000 acres of preserved land in and around Middletown.
Okay.
We're probably the most or the second most, feel free to fact check me on preserved towns in the Shenandoah Valley. We have 40 acres of preserved land in town limits that other 1,960 are in between Middletown and Strasburg on both sides of Route 11. And we're getting more. We're working on more. So it's just
awesome.
The sheets, the Wawa, the housing developments make the front page. But people don't know is that Middletown is vastly different because of all this preservation. So any growth that you see there that's about it. Right? Like all this other land here is wardened off. And so moving forward, I think people are going to be very comfortable with that. And they're going to see it quieter in a way as we purchase additional properties.
That's great. Is it mostly Civil War ground that's preserved?
Yes, that is correct. Yes. So it's 5 park partners.
Yeah.
But we're a national park. A lot of people don't know that. Cedar Creek and Belle Grove National Park. They're teammates with American Battlefields Trust. There's the Shenandoah Valley Battlefields Foundation. There's Belle Grove. Part of the National Historic Preservation, and then there's the board that I'm on, Cedar Creek Battlefield Foundation. We have 385 acres that we preserved in the mid-80s, 1985, as a counter to Thermo Fisher Scientific was built on core battlefield land in the mid-70s.
Wow.
And so we said, well, wouldn't it be awful if another plant went right here?
Yeah.
So we were able to get that preserved in the 80s, and now we're carrying that legacy. So between these 5 park partners, they have 2,000 acres. So Middletown is uniquely different from other communities.
Man, I pass it all the time, and I'm just like, man, I would love to metal detect back in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a no-no
Yeah,
in
I know it
the
is.
national park world. But I have some friends that do it, and they're still pulling
Are they?
crazy things out of the ground and unbelievable stuff. And
That's cool.
I had a friend that recently pulled off a Texas Lone Star Civil War badge out of the ground, and it shows you the scale of the battles. If people are still 160 years pulling things out of the ground.
Yeah, no, my luck with metal detecting would be nothing. I'd find nothing. But I enjoy it. It's a kind of a pastime. Now I have to ask, the solar farm, as you know, off Klein's Mill, and if I'm not mistaken, next to Middletown, there's that land that has been in the news about maybe a data center. Can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, the solar farm is practically done at this point.
So I guess that's a hot topic with realtors, but for a small town mayor, there's a lot to like about solar. Solar doesn't have kids.
I'm not saying I'm against it, because it could be a bunch of houses instead.
Yeah. Solar panels don't have kids that have to go to our overcrowded school, Sharando down the street, 125% capacity.
Yeah.
Solar panels don't have cars on the vehicles or on the roadways.
Yeah.
Solar panels don't use water and sewer resources. They don't call the cops. They don't call the fire department.
Yeah. So it doesn't take a lot of other resources to. Yeah.
And it's reversible. A lot of those have agreements with them, 30-year agreements, 25-year agreements. So if the grandson or the kid says, "Hey, we don't like solar. We want to farm," they can make that decision. Houses are not reversible because that plot of land that you buy for about $50,000 an acre, as you saw in the village of Middletown, you could stack 4 or 5 homes on there.
Yeah. Yep.
You'll never be able to buy those 5 houses, tear them down, and restore that land. It'd be too cost inhibitive. But does that make sense? So solar is somewhat appealing, and data centers are somewhat appealing if we have choices. If of course we want it to stay farmland, but farmers are getting 80, 90 years old in Middletown, very common. Their kids don't want to farm. And they want this.
Yeah.
They want the money when the farmer dies, and then the first person in line to buy it is a developer.
Yeah.
And so that developer wants to put houses and maximize revenue.
Sure.
So solar's appealing, data center's appealing for the same reasons, except for they do use a little bit of water and sewer. They use a ton of electricity, but they generate a lot of revenue. But again, they don't have cars on the highways, and they don't have kids.
Yeah, there's always advantages and disadvantages, in those kind of situations. And I actually, for the solar farm, I would favor because it's on my street, and having the additional cars and all that kind of stuff would impact my situation. So, and I can't see the solar farm, and I know they're building trees around it, so it won't be a visual for for those that don't like seeing it. So I tend to agree that I'm happier that it's a solar farm than a bunch of houses. Being a real estate agent, you would think I wouldn't say that, but I live there, so that's kind of where I'm at. So what other future expansions are you seeing in the Middletown area? Near term, long term. You want to talk about that at all?
Yeah. So, are you speaking about like what goals I might have, or what business what business things are going on? What other?
Yeah. I guess from a real estate perspective, I know Sheets just came into town. Yep. Are there any other kind of residential, commercial growth that you're looking at there?
Well, Wawa's next on deck. They bought the 8 acres between the 7-Eleven and the Liberty.
Right. Okay.
And same type of thing.
You'll be able to get gas anywhere along there.
It's amazing. I don't know how why do we need so many gas stations?
But I get it.
Anyways, Wawa has a loyal following, and I think they're going to do really, really good there, obviously. But they only need 3 of the 8 acres, so we're trying to determine what that other 5 acres will be. And can it be preserved? Can it be green space? We're trying to be uniquely different than every other town, and really focus and drill down on that, and have this quiet, nice town, the best that we can, and focus on the people that live there as opposed to traffic and all these other things that go along with it.
Yeah, I don't know that this is an answer to your question, but my wife's a foodie. We need more restaurant options, more food options in the area, but that does draw more traffic and so forth. But that's why you're the mayor and I'm not.
I'd say we have a lot of great restaurants. A lot of times you go to these small towns, they got 2 pizza shops, 2 Chinese places, right? So we have Schaefer's Barbecue, award-winning barbecue, small business of the year for the chamber a couple years ago. We have Italian Touch, great place,
love it,
super popular. Our sister company is right here, Italian Delight. Okay, we have Wayside Inn, the oldest continuously operating in America.
Potentially haunted.
A lot of people believe that. We have Vault and Cellar, best bourbon bars in America, ranked number 9 in Garden and Guns magazine of top 10 bourbon bars in the South.
That's awesome.
We have a Jamaican restaurant, and I ate there with the Lieutenant Governor, who's from Jamaica, and she says it's good. So I'll take her opinion. So we've got diversity right there. It's great that we have so much diversity there in different restaurants. We've got a Daily Buzz. I forgot to mention that great coffee shop. We got Blue Ridge Baking. So
Yeah, you're
ice
going to
cream
get in
shop.
trouble if you don't mention the one. They're going to be like, why didn't you mention
Yeah,
me?
that is how that
No,
works.
but
But I'm saying diversity, and they're all great places. So
Yeah, the Caribbean jerk chicken from the Caribbean place is on point because my family likes to go to the Caribbean, and that's what I always get because I'm not a huge spicy person, but man, for some reason I love that chicken.
PNDNs is
Yep,
the business.
that's
they
right.
put those
I didn't realize that was there. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah,
Check
we'll
it
have
out.
to
Yeah.
get them in on the podcast as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll be a great one. So you can eat in Pandians?
I have.
Have you?
There's two
Oh, well,
tables.
I'm not
in
the mayor,
There's
so
two
yeah.
tables in the back. I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
So
they're a primary to-go place, but there are two tables.
Yeah, we've always been the to go. So okay, that's cool. Okay, very good. So we've talked a lot about you being a mayor, but you have your hands in a lot of other things. So Access Independence, you are the CEO of this company, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, so share some wonderful things that this company represents and what they're doing, because I think it's awesome.
Thank you. So Access Independence, nonprofit, been around since 1985. We help people with disabilities in the northern Shenandoah Valley. Frederick, Clark, Shenandoah, Page, Warren, and the city of Winchester. We've grown by 50% since I've been there. We were serving 400 and some clients. Now we're at the 650 mark. So we're helping people with a multitude of disabilities: cognitive, visual, hearing, mental, physical. So we're famous because everybody knows to call us if I'm Chris and I need a wheelchair.
Yeah.
If I'm Charles and I need a walker and I live in Front Royal, hey, where do you live? I'll deliver it to you free of charge. So we offer free wheelchairs, walkers, canes, grab bars, shower handles, knee scooters, bedside commodes, shower chairs, all these things that are expensive. Like if you're going through this, the last thing you do is have $150 for a walker or $200 for a wheelchair. So sometimes it's just so nice. And then the cool thing is it's green. It's we can give that wheelchair out 10 times maybe, to somebody who might need it. We can clean it, sanitize after somebody's done with it, and give it back out. So instead of, clogging up resources, spending money that you don't need, I have a warehouse full of this stuff.
Really?
That I'm just dying to give out. So people call me, we get credit for it on our state report. So we're a center for independent living. And that's kind of why we're popular, but we do so much more than that. We manage 214 people's money with disabilities. So a lot of times their body's fine, they can live on their own independently, but maybe their parents are aging and they want to professionalize their child's life after they're gone. And they can live fine, they can get around the house, but what happens if I don't pay my electric bill on time? I have to pay a disconnection fee, a reconnection fee on top of the bill.
Right.
And then so people get behind the 8 ball by not having that professionalism. Same with the water and sewer, the dish network, whatever, the cable, the natural gas, whatever that is, we can professionalize that for the client.
Yeah.
We also have a hard of hearing service center. We have service facilitation. And this cool program within the last 2 years is pre-ETS, pre-employment transitionary services, where we're going into the school system to teach people with disabilities, how do you write a resume? How do you make a doctor's appointment? How do you make a dentist appointment? How do you shop for groceries? How do you get your driver's license? We got 8 people driver's licenses last year who were told they would never be able to drive. They can't drive. They can't do it. It's too difficult. It won't work. And we follow up with them. There's been no accidents. Now they have jobs. Instead of taking taxes, they're paying taxes. So it's just a special, noble place. We're grant funded by the state. So all we fundraise for is the ramps that we do. So I build a lot of ramps, about 3 ramps a month for people. And those eat up a lot of money. So that's why it's like the best nonprofit. And the last piece is 92% of my employees have a documented disability, 11 out of 12. And my board, 60% have a documented disability. So when you're calling there, you get tons of experience, but lived experience.
Yeah.
What's it like to take the bus?
Sure.
What's it like to have to use this app?
Yeah.
That's
great.
Like you just get a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah. Did you know about this?
I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't
did
either.
not.
And I really hope people are listening because everything you explain, I think is just, it's amazing. And there's not another word I can think of for it. It's just,
It's amazing. And so many nonprofits have to compete with each other for funding, and we
Yeah.
don't, and we're just there to give back. I don't need anything, but if people do give us money, we're going to build somebody a ramp.
Yeah.
And we did one Friday, a 7-foot platform to a 16-foot ramp out of a house. Client needed that. needed to be able to live independently, to go out and check the mail on his own, to go outside, to do these things in a wheelchair and not and have dignity.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, can you pick up my wheelchair and take me down the steps? It's
Yeah.
Wow.
And the fact that you have, you've employed, these folks is because, I mean, they can, like you said, they can relate and they can understand. And I think that's very, very important as well.
huge. Yeah.
So they care, they will care. So how would someone get in touch? Because I think if there's any takeaway from this podcast, I think that's a huge one. So how would they get in touch with this company?
Give us a call, 540-662-4452. We also have an online request services.
Okay.
So you could get online. You don't even have to call me. You could just
What's the
say,
website?
www.accessindependence.org.
Okay.
Is there a lot involved for a person to get?
No. I love that you asked that because
Okay.
I forget that. A lot of times people have tons of red tape that make it prohibitive, or is this even worth it?
Right.
I have a one-page sheet that says, hey, Chris, if you borrow this wheelchair, would you please return it? What's your
So it's
name
that
and address?
simple.
It's that simple. And then I deliver it free of charge in my personal truck. I say, where do you live? You can't get it here? I'll deliver it anywhere in this 5-county region. And we have a one-page document that you sign. Please don't throw this away. Please don't sell this on Facebook Marketplace. Please give it back to us so that I can help somebody else out.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. So because you do so many, I'm sorry, just something else you wanted to say?
I think the great thing is Chris Mitchell, Q102 DJ, has this great quote, and it says, if we are fortunate enough to live long enough, we're going to acquire a disability, some
Sure.
sort of one, visual, hearing, physical.
Oh, well, I deal with an elderly father right now, and I know everything that we go to do. There's a ton of paperwork, a lot of red tape, and it takes forever.
Not
Yeah.
at Access Independence.
So
but-
she'll be in
Yeah.
touch.
Great.
And I'm getting to the point where I might be in touch here soon too. All right. So because, like I was saying, because you are so involved in so many things, let's go on to the next thing. So in addition to all those things we've discussed, you're also a professor at Laurel Ridge Community College.
Yeah,
Are
I
you
teach
kidding me?
Business and marketing there. I've been there for about 10 years now. So
That's
it's
amazing,
just a
too.
great job.
How many hours do you have in your day?
Yeah, there's no way this
Just
is
trying
real.
to maximize my ability. But yeah, it's great because I just pretend that I was in those seats because I was before I went to Shenandoah. I went to Lord Fairfax for 2 years, and now it's Laurel Ridge, of course.
Right.
But I just try to tell myself, what would I want to learn back then? And it's like, well, how does a 401k work? How does a Roth IRA work? What's about dental and vision and health benefits?
Yeah.
And what are some secrets and some tips and just investing advice, like things like that if you can do it at 19 and 20 will propel you, rocket launch you into the next part of your life.
Yeah. No, that's great. There is not enough of that. I know even going through college myself, I feel like I didn't get my hands around real life situations.
Until
Like,
you get your first job. And
Yeah.
it's like, I'm trying to cut that out for them,
Yeah.
and give it to them then if they want to hear it.
Yeah.
And a lot of them do.
Yeah.
Say what you want about young people, but a lot of them want it. They just haven't been given the opportunity to speak about these
Sure.
things.
Sure.
You know?
So you said you teach business and marketing there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. In your spare time, what are you doing in your spare time? Because
I have a daily sports show on Wink FM News Talk 1400 and 102.9 The Valley FM. And then I call the best football matchup every Friday with Mark Mosley, NFL MVP, Super Bowl champion. We hit the road every Friday, and we got the best matchup in the area. So a lot of Shenandoah games. They're really good football teams. So I do that in my spare time. I'm a reenactor, but multiple wars, Revolutionary War, Civil War, French and Indian. So I've been doing that for 20 years. Love the NFL, Washington, of course, but I guess that's, and I have a son, so I spend a lot of time with my boy.
yeah, of course. Now, Shenandoah football and their basketball teams, do you still do announcing for them?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't mention that part, but you had the data there on that.
Yeah,
part.
I got everything I need to know here. Now, did you play any of these sports?
I did. I played semi-pro football for 4 years for 2 teams. I played at Shenandoah in 2008, and had a lot of fun doing it.
I coached Jameswood High School soccer for a while, and we had a player go to Shenandoah University. He was a kicker. Andrew Lloyd, but I
Yeah.
think he might have been a little after you.
I recognize that name just
Yeah.
from being around the team. But
Yeah, he set some records there. I'm sure when you were announcing, I'm sure you were mentioning his name a couple of times. But how about your son? Is your son getting into any sports?
he's only 2.5, so
So I mean, based on your accreditation, I mean, you were mayor 24. I'm sure he's already planning to do something.
he loves football. He grabs it and runs around the house. So we have a lot of fun, and I chase him, But I hope to watch him play. But that's going to be his choice. So.
Yeah, no, I have 4 kids, a senior at James Wood, and all the way down to a kindergartner at Middletown.
Yeah.
So in my son, I got 3 girls, and my youngest is a son. He's in the soccer, baseball, t-ball at this point. He's 5, and what else?
So
And
your part-time
basketball.
job is taxi.
Yeah.
Is that right? Is that
Yeah, that absolutely. Yeah, I don't know how I could squeeze everything that you do into my day, but kudos to you. Congrats to that. So, politics is what you're kind of in. I have to ask. We're in the midst of a new presidential election.
Yep.
What is your take on the current election between Trump and Kamala Harris?
Great question. And,
you can choose to say I choose not to answer that question.
I'm very independent minded, and
Yeah.
I just hate how, and this is why I don't run for higher office, is because at that next level after a town, it's like the gloves come off. People become so political. You're called names by strangers on the internet.
Yeah.
And then if you're somebody, you have to ask yourself, who in their right mind would run for these offices and put themselves through that? Who would want that? Like for me, you say I'm in politics. I'm a nonprofit CEO. That's my job. That's my career. That pays my bills. I'm a mayor 3rd. I'm a professor 2nd. Those jobs pay my bills, and I
Sure.
and I don't see myself that way. So I'm always looking for the best solutions for the town, and I just think that politics have become so vitriolic, I guess is the
Sure.
right word, is so nasty and partisan, and it's like all the people that are compromisers, they kind of get made fun of and pushed to the side or primaried out. So I'm thinking of Mitt Romney, Joe Manchin, John McCain while he was still living, Tulsi Gabbard. A lot of these people in the middle, there's no room for them. They get pushed down.
Sure.
So it's like if you want to work with anybody in real life, you have to be flexible and compromise in the business world. Only in politics is it okay to have 2 polar opposites that just call each other names and not get anything done.
Yeah. Yep.
And so whatever,
It's going to be interesting. We can just say
It's
that.
frustrating because they put out all these commercials and you sit there and watch it and you have absolutely no idea where they stand on anything because all they're doing is mudslinging at the other side.
Yeah, and there seems like to be like no detailed plan, like, hey, this is what I'm going to do, X, Y, Z. This is what it is. Just another observation. A lot of people think Trump is all these things, but I have found him to be not the most conservative. He's a populist. He wants to take popular platforms. So he for liberal people, he's not their worst nightmare. They just think he is, like a Ted Cruz would be, or somebody super, super conservative on all these things. Trump is really middle of the road with some of these things, and some are even liberal policies that he has enacted into his platform that are populist. But so it's really intriguing that there's not more middle ground with him. And then Kamala, she's shifted to some of Trump's policies. I don't know if you've seen this. She's talking about the border wall and some of these things that people have been hot button issues. She has moved to the right a bit. So very fascinating, those 2 key pieces that I've noticed.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how that all plays out for sure. And I saw people were asking for you to become president. I saw that on Facebook. I saw that one time somebody was saying we should elect you.
I'm not running for it. I'm running from things.
Can you drop that you're running for president on this podcast? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm happy.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't do that to you. You're doing a great job. We want to keep you here.
Thank you,
so
Chris.
with that said, how would someone get in touch with you or maybe with your administration?
Yeah, then contact the town office, and we could set up a meeting. My phone number is public record, so it's out there if you would. And I don't know if I want to say it right here, but
no, you don't have to.
Social media is good too. My email address is public record too, so I'm very, very accessible.
Okay.
And I try to, when people need something right away, I try to get them the help. No red tape, like you talked about. I don't have an assistant. You get me. So
yeah.
I think that's kind of key too, is being responsive to those things, answering questions, and working with folks. So they can call the town office. They'll put you in touch with me. My email's on the town website. My cell phone's on the town website.
Okay.
So you can go there and take a look.
Yep. Very good. Well, hey, listen, I want to thank you so much for, again, taking the time out of your busy day in life and coming out here onto our podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a wonderful service you guys do for the community, and I'm really thankful to be here with you and get the chance to talk about some of these things. So thank you so much for having me.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for tuning into the Real TFC podcast. The key to success is knowledge and relationships. So please like, share, and subscribe, and catch you on the next podcast.